Hi everyone, I'm back. So I thought I'd just do a quick catch-up video because I have been sewing recently and it's something that I've really gotten quite well back into. It's like getting your mojo back, I guess. I have a couple of things to mention about bag making. Also, I've just put a new video up last week about machine binding, or the way I like to machine bind. There are a few different ways of doing it. My way is to be able to see what you're doing at all times. So that's up on there now, and I also have a new quilt to show you as well. So back in June, at the end of June, my grandparents came back and so did a load of quilts that I sent off to magazines that got published. The magazines were in the UK, so it made sense for them to receive them, and then they brought them back over for me, which was nice. One of them was this one, which is a half square triangle quilt, and it took me probably 2 years, something like that, to actually finish making it. It was in my work in progress pile for a very long time, and that was mostly because I didn't like making the half square triangles and squaring them up and everything. So you'll be interested to see what my current project is. So this is my current project. It is a pattern from the Modern Quilt Guild. It's a free pattern for members. It was the January 2017 pattern, and this is the Singularity quilt. I've reduced it in size a little, just because I want it to fit on the wall of my office. So in her pattern, these starter half square triangles are 1 inch. Mine are 3/4 of an inch. So then that makes these 1.5 inches, and these 3 inches on the outside. And so that's the round that I'm currently working on. And then after those 3-inch ones, the next size is going to be 6.5 inches, and this will come out to 60 inches square once I'm done. And I'm very close to being done. I've got 3 more rounds to do, I think. One more which will have a double row of the 3-inch squares with the 6-inch cornerstones, and then there'll be 2 separate rounds of 6.5-inch squares which will finish at 6 inches, and then it'll be done. Obviously excluding quilting and all of that stuff, but this is coming together really quite quickly. I've only been working on this for maybe 2 weeks, and somehow it's still keeping me interested. And yes, some of the smaller points aren't quite matching very well, but I'm okay with that just because it's such small piecing that it's going to be difficult. And I like the small piecing as it is. Just looking at it from a distance, I just like the fact that they're so tiny, because I don't normally work that small, but I have always liked the effect of small piecing. It's just not something I've done myself before. So this is my current project, and I have a finished project to show you as well. So this is a quilt I was working on for about 3 months at the start of the year, and I haven't been able to show anyone because it was for the Modern Quilt Guild, and they asked me not to say anything, and I'll show it online. But things have changed now, and this is why I was able to release my binding video as well, because it features this quilt. This is Arlecchino, which is the Italian word for court jester, as you can probably tell. Let me see if I can get further away so you can see it. They're all paper piece blocks. It's 36 blocks in this quilt. The back is just a solid orange, and it's just straight stitched for the quilting. So this is the block here. It's like a rectangular one. I originally designed it to be part of the Modern Quilt Guild Quilt of the Month series, like the one that I'm currently working on. Unfortunately, it wasn't accepted because they said the quilting was too crinkly on it. As you can see, it's kind of just got texture to it rather than any tucks, but there are some kind of areas where the stitching has put the fabric under stress, I guess. But I still like it. It's my husband's favourite quilt. I've been asked by the people if they can have the pattern. I've been paid by the Modern Quilt Guild for the pattern, so I think I'm kind of still under obligation to them just for a little while, and then we might be doing a block study on it as well. So there will be still some participation with the Modern Quilt Guild there. And so for now, the pattern won't be available just yet. In book news, I'm expecting delivery for around early to middle of September of my copies of the patterns and stuff, so I'm working on releasing some patterns that will go alongside when the book is available. I have so far got a Hank pillow, so an English pointer, my dog, his head on a pillow size, so it's like 18 inches square. That's one of the patterns. Another one is working on the moose quilt that I've got. You can see it on my blog if you haven't, if you don't know which one that is. It's in the finished quilts section. It's like an orange background and there's a smiley moose guy on there. I also entered that into a show, so I have some results back from the show as well to share with you. So keep your eye out for my book, and it's available for pre-order on Amazon now, and it's called Paint by Number Quilts. So back to the moose quilt that I said that I had the patterns that I'm working on. There will be some other ones as well. They're just the ones that are nearly ready and will definitely be available when it comes out. I actually entered it. This is the one here, the orange quilt there. I don't know how well that will focus screen to screen. I actually entered that into the Stampede show, and I also entered another quilt which was designed to be in the book and then didn't make it, so this will be another one that I release patterns for later. This Barley the Mouse. Again, I'm not sure how well that will focus. So this is Barley the Mouse. So Barley was made for my book, and that was made I think towards the end of 2016. And then the moose quilt was made back in 2014, so it was when I was still reasonably new making the technique. So you can really tell this from the judges' comments that I got back from the Stampede show. For the moose quilt, they've said it's a very good collaborative work, and that's because my husband helped design it. The Smile Adds character is a whimsical portrayal of a moose. The maple leaves were well done because there's some maple leaves in the background. Be careful to balance your tension, so I think I had some quilting difficulties with that. Most of what they said was good. Well, good for everything. First impressions, creativity, colour and pattern, materials, technical skills, texture and scale. They asked me to try and point out the corners a little bit more when doing the facing binding. And then for the mouse I got much better results, so that shows that I must be getting better at this. I had notes saying this is a charming little creature, lovely detail in the face, the applique was nice and clean, the background fabric, while unusual, works for this quilting. So it has like a Carolyn Friedlander background to it. Again, it's an orange background. I seem to just enter orange quilts. So there's a reminder for you. And it should work because it's supposed to be like a modern pictorial quilt. I feel like you can have contemporary quilts across all of the areas: art quilting, pictorial, pieced, applique, whole cloth. I think it's possible, so that's kind of my take on it. The quilted feathers are lovely, so I free motioned some feathers on my machine, and the machine I have now, which is the Brother PQ 1500S, which only does a straight stitch. Tension's really good on that machine too. The quilting provides good contrast to the linear design of the fabric. So it's really curvy, and I wanted to make it look like it was in a barley field or a wheat field. The hand embroidery is effective, so I just embroidered some whiskers on there just because there's no way I can piece whiskers, they're just too thin. I could have used bias strips, I guess, but I think they would have been a little bit too thick too. Nice use of different yellow fabrics. So on the stalk of barley or wheat, I'm not actually sure which one it is. I call him Barley the Mouse, but it looks like he's on wheat to me. It's a harvest mouse. I've got different shades, slightly different shades of yellow to kind of make it look reasonably kind of 3D-ish, I guess. So my next guy will be this Blue Jay. So I'm going to scan that in tonight, blow it up and work on that, and I'm going to do a little time-lapse video about that too. And maybe use that as promotional material for the launch of my book. And I think that's enough on quilts, and we'll move on to bags now. So you saw these probably in the background of the first part where I was showing you the quilt I'm working on. I can't remember if I've shown you them before, but I haven't really got much further on these, but they will have handles here, and they'll be like little clutch bags. I haven't sewn the linings together yet, but the linings do have pockets in them, so I'm not far off doing that. I've just put it on pause for now while I'm working on the quilt. And the other thing I wanted to mention is a pattern collective. It's called Carried Away, and it's Blue Colour Patterns and Swoon Patterns. They're doing 6 patterns over the next 6 months, starting from August 15th, so it's already, the first one's already out, and this is the first pattern. It's called the Sierra Handbag. It's my style of bag making, structured bag that It's a kind of medium size with a strap or carry handles. So I'm going to definitely be making that. That one's by Swoon Patterns. I believe it's only available through the club. So I think once the collective is ended, those patterns won't be available. I might be wrong on that. It's $35, so you get 6 patterns you get 6 patterns for $35. They're just released on a monthly basis, and if you join halfway through, you'll instantly get the ones that have already been released. So that's Carried Away Patterns, and that is carriedawaypatterns.com if you want to have a look at that. And there's a Facebook group where everyone's showing what they've made as well, so it's a little bit similar to the Bag of the Month Club. So I've joined in with that too, but I don't know when I'm going to get around to making that first one, but I'm in. Last thing, I think I'm only like 2 people off subscribing to the channel before I'll do the prize draw for the jelly roll, the charm packs or the layer cake. So you might want to subscribe if you've watched a couple of these videos and you think, yeah, I could watch some more of these. I like the tutorials or whatever it might be. And then I'll be able to do a draw probably in my next video. So thanks for watching and thank you for subscribing.